Hi, I'm Samhita.
My name is Maximilian Chavez.
My name is Carmelita Lee.
Our product for today is for children with autism because they find it extremely hard to identify their emotions and cope with stress.
We created the Beta Band, which is essentially a headband. It reads your beta waves, which fall in between a certain low and high beta wave, and if you're outside that range, then your brain is not acting as a normal brain.
Project Event has definitely impacted my sense of teamwork. I can collaborate a lot more with my peers, have that design thinking into mind. How can we target our users and have the best influence and the greatest impact on their lives?
Working and coding and doing all that stuff, it gave me a chance to be familiar so that I'm not as intimidated going into college. And it's actually made me a lot more excited for freshman year of college.
We've definitely opened our minds up a lot more, and we've learned how to cope with maybe our product not working and still learning from our mistakes.
Having interacted with people who are on the spectrum, young adults and little children, and seeing what they go through and understanding their experiences, and then being able to put that into a product, engineer something, and then see that truly affect them and help them.
A lot of people try and create products for people that they don't even they've never even talked to before. So we had a lot of things that we thought would be good, but after talking to people who actually use wheelchairs, they were we don't have problems with that. So it just you really should talk to people and get to know them before you make assumptions about things that they struggle with.
I think the impact has been huge, and it's changed my outlook towards for project-based learning and education a lot, actually. The reason is because prior to Project Event, I focused a lot on just developing technical skills and having the students learn laser cutting, 3D printing, soldering, sort of for the sake of learning 3D printing, laser cutting, and soldering. But working with Project Event and anchoring these technical skills to a real-world problem has really, I think, made the learning experiences more meaningful for the students so that they understand what the application is, and has helped with retention.
Hi, we're Team Spark, and we're here to show you our project, Fire Drone 360.
So starting off with our community partner, Sean, who lives in Missouri. He is 26 years of age, and he was in the heavy rescue force, entering some buildings and spraying water and saving victims from buildings. He's now managing firefighting shifts and is still going out on emergency calls sometimes. And he also teaches the community about safety and training for fire prevention.
There's a couple pain points that Sean talked to us about, and the first one being that his fire truck is a lot of times stuck in traffic, which highly increases the amount of chance of a casualty happening at the fire scene because they can't get them out in time. And the other thing is, when they actually arrive to the scene, they're going in blind, and they don't know the layout of the building, they don't know where victims could be, and they don't know how to get them out safely.
A quote by Sean, our community partner, that will later on help us determine our problem and solution.
So our firefighter starts off the day by waking up in the morning, getting some coffee, and then driving down to the firefighting station to talk with the captain and manage the shifts of the other firefighters. He's happy about the tax dollars that they spend on firefighter trucks and other new force stations, and then they talk with the ambulance and other police areas about how they can do their job more efficiently. Then Sean gets time for personal improvement, and then hits the bunks at around 10 p.m. to midnight. And the next day, he tells the next shift what had happened, and then he goes home to rest.
Thank you, Rishi. With that being said, 3 main problems that we determined were: 1, it is hard for firefighters to get information from the accident before they arrive at the site. 2, with limited time due to the traffic, they are unable to find the most efficient way to save victims of fires. 3, since firefighters may not know what the buildings look like when arriving at the scene, they will spend precious time looking for ways to enter into the building.
Another problem that Sean mentioned is that when he gets called in for an emergency, he only has a limited amount of time to get his gear and his firefighters on the fire truck.
One of the things we came up with for a solution was a sensory drone that feeds back information to firefighters. It will allow Sean and other firefighters to plan ahead according to the extent of the danger at the scene. It will allow Sean and other firefighters to see the dangers through the live video feed, and will allow Sean to avoid any upcoming dangers that they may see in the buildings.
Our drone consists of a couple main features. The 2 main features are a built-in spotlight, and the spotlight is actually motorized and can articulate. based on where the crime scene is. So essentially, wherever the drone will go, wherever the drone moves, it will keep the spotlight trained on the burning building or the scene where the firefighters need to go. The second main feature is a rotating human presence sensor. And what that allows the drone to do is it allows the drone to detect humans within burning buildings and also detect any firefighters that are running up to the scene and be able to distinguish them from people that are actually trapped inside fires or burning buildings. And it actually rotates on a motor, and that is mounted on top of the drone, and the spotlight is mounted underneath. And so what that allows us to do is to get 360 views to detect humans in all directions.
So the feedback we received for Ethan's previous iterations was that the drone would need to be prepared to be called for action. Sean stated the firefighter equipment might be too heavy for the drone. The drone with pre-programmed instructions would be important, that if a person was found, we want to know where they're located, and it needs to differentiate between firefighters and victims in the fire.
We obviously had a pivot moment. Our pivot moment was that we wanted to add a police system to be able to carry firefighter equipment, but after talking with Sean, we realized that it wasn't doable because it weighed too much and it wasn't something that we could succeed in with the budget we had. So we just took out the idea and focused on the sensors for the life-saving technology.
So there actually are a couple of competitors on the market today. For a low quality and low price drone, we have the Sharper Image drone, and then there's a couple high price and high quality drones, which are the Vivitar drone, the Parrot drone, and the DJI drone.
So for our next steps, we want to be able to include new functionality, new equipment, new software in order to incorporate into the drone, and a bigger drone so that it's able to handle all of that equipment. Accessibility, we want to think about how the firefighters will use the drone and how we can make it more accessible in emergency situations. Marketability wise, how can we make this drone appealing to other firefighters, and how can we maximize the drone's quality without making the price too high?
Thank you for listening, and please contact us with any questions. We can't wait to partner with you.
Hello, we are Team Easy Desk from Francis W. Parker School. So our community partner is Michelle Lee, who is a quadriplegic that lives downtown Chicago. Right before she was about to graduate from college, she was involved in a car accident that severely injured her. When we met with Michelle, we learned so much about accessibility for motorized wheelchair users, including how difficult it was for her to carry her belongings when she left her apartment. Those quotes really stood out to us in particular because Michelle talked about how she wants to leave her apartment sometimes and go to a place like Starbucks and hang out to work. But because of having very little finger function, it would be hard for her to carry her belongings with her while moving around in her wheelchair. We decided our goal would be to provide Michelle with a sense of independence and empowerment while carrying her laptop when she's up and about. Next slide. So our solution is the Easy Desk, an attachable lap desk with storage that mounts on one of Michelle's wheelchair arms. Its resting position is parallel to the chair off to the side, but when it is activated with a button, the desk rotates to be in front of the user. The Easy Desk offers an accessible and easy to activate work surface and secure storage at the touch of a button. Next slide. When the user presses a large, easy-to-press, well-located button, the Easy Desk moves from its resting position to the next position, which is where it rotates 270 degrees. So if you play that button, or if you press that button, you see.
So this would be the demo. So the user would press the button either here or here, and this next process would be all motorized. The desk would spin out like this, come to a spin 270 degrees, and then go to rest on the other armrest. And then the user is free to remove their laptop or whatever possession they have from underneath the desk, and then work on the desk space.
The Easy Desk has all these incredible and adaptable features. It has a motorized rotating function that allows it to be adjusted anytime, as well as be easily accessed. The magnetized laptop storage ensures that the user has a place to keep their items secured, which is also great. It also has a telescoping extension component that prevents it from disrupting the user and others around them. Another cool thing about the Easy Desk is that it's completely customizable to the user's wants. They can change the color of the fabric and the color of the laptop storage to their liking. Unfortunately, due to the COVID precautions, we weren't able to physically meet up with Michelle to show her the Easy Desk, but we were able to Zoom with her and demonstrate it in action and get her feedback virtually. Michelle offered some great thoughts. She told us that she would prefer a harder work surface instead of the foam we used. She reminded us that she won't be using the same wheelchair for years. Making the Easy Desk detachable is key. She had some concerns about the security of the Easy Desk and wanted the laptop sleeve to be on the inside of the desk while it was in the resting position. Most importantly, she wanted us to make sure that there was a safety sensor included so that the desk doesn't accidentally hit her on her joystick. And for added convenience, Michelle wants a cup holder for her coffee.
As you can see, there's nothing exactly like the Easy Desk currently on the market. Easy Desk is the only product that uses a motorized mechanism to rotate the desk into place, giving the user full independence. Easy Desk allows the user to, with the press of a button, rotate it to the side of the wheelchair out of the way. All of the other products you see here are in a fixed position in front of the user and require installation each time they're used, which might require someone other than the user to help. Easy Desk also combines storage capabilities with a work surface, which only one of the competitors offers. Additionally, we plan to price the Easy Desk at a much more affordable price of under $250. After consulting with Michelle, we considered that what changes to make to improve upon the Easy Desk. First of all, our design process happened entirely without having access to our user-specific wheelchair, the Permobil F3. And for our next step, we'd at least like to have access to the armrests to inform the design of the Easy Desk. Secondly, we'd like to identify and use motors with enough torque to hold our physical prototype. We'd also like to create a new physical prototype of the desk with lighter weight materials and a more neutral aesthetic. Lastly, we'd love to include additional features requested by our user, specifically a safety sensor and additional storage features. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation.
Excellent work, team. I really love the idea of trying to better up the existing solutions. Talk a little bit about, it seems like it's going to be a pretty heavy thing, and there was mention of torque. So when it lifts, does it also need to lift the laptop along with it, or do they take the laptop out first and then it sort of fits into place? Because I saw with the example, it seemed a little awkward that you have to sort of pull it out, but maybe talk to us just a little bit about that. I'd love to see what your thoughts are.
Well, ideally, the user would be able to lift the laptop in a much easier way than I was able to in that video once it flips over. So the laptop would be in it during the flip to keep it more secure, because otherwise she doesn't really have a place to put it while it's flipping. And so pull it out and then put it on top of the desk is hopefully the amount of motion she would need to do.
Excellent.
Hey everyone, thank you for that presentation. I too had a follow-up question around the torque on kind of making sure that lifted. What other, did you attempt other kind of designs where the laptop would be in a different place, or like a multi kind of mounted system? I saw your competitor set, and that there's definitely some great consideration of what else is there. But I'm curious eager to hear kind of what other options you consider to help problem solve those feedback points.
Yeah, so when we look at other wheelchair desks, or not even desks, all the storage for the laptop is either underneath the desk, which she can't get to, or behind the actual wheelchair, which again, she can't get to really. And so it really does need to be underneath there for easy access, and that will add some torque, but it'll be well worth it because she can actually get her laptop. But yes, we did look at other options.
Awesome idea. It was really exciting to see what you guys have created and so important for this population. And I'm kind of imagining this person whizzing around stores and being able to check prices, and it's kind of cool. And the cup holder, awesome. What I was wondering about is does it have flexibility in terms of once it's in place, is the user able to move the tray forward or torque it kind of like that, so that if she needs, I mean, how much mobility, once it's in place, how much mobility will there be?
Yeah, so once she pushes the button and rotates that wheelchair out, or that desk out, it will be able to go forwards and backwards just by pushing. It's like on a telescoping rod.
Okay, that's the telescope,
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it won't really be able to go like this, like you motion, because it'll be supported by 2 brackets, or at least 2 brackets, if that makes sense.
Yes, okay. Okay. And another question I had, I'll just dive in. Is there a way to have the laptop, as a place for the laptop, like along her side, along, anywhere else on the wheelchair that she can kind of pull it out that's not associated with the
As of right now, no, her wheelchair does not have a storage spot for her laptop.
Okay. Yeah.
So this would provide that as well.
So when I saw you demoing it, the first thing that I thought about was an airplane seat, where you're sort of confined in a thing, and then you sort of pull it out, and sometimes you do it in 2 steps. So that was the first thing that came to mind, and there may be inspiration there for adjustments about how to do it, because airplanes have been around for a long time. But again, you want it to automatically come in place, and so were you thinking about a button or some other activation mechanism to make that happen?
Yes, we were thinking of a button where you would just press it once, it'd rotate the full 270 degrees, and then you would press that button again, and it'd be a large button, so it'd be easy to press, and then you'd press it again, and it'd rotate back to its original position.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much. Great job. I think it's time to move on to our 3rd pitch of the day. All right, our 3rd pitch is Soundhaven from Team Anna with the Anna ISD Makerspace. Soundhaven is a 3-piece device to cancel noise, check heart rate, and relieve stress in loud situations.
Hi, I'm Revo.
Hey, I'm Nicholas. We are part of the team Soundhaven. Soundhaven was inspired by our community partner, Nigel. Nigel is associated with the Wounded Warriors program after serving in the military for 3 years. He and other soldiers have dealt with a lot of trauma, which has led to many issues. In addition to being a veteran, he enjoys being active and reading self-help books, as well as wanting to impact the younger generation and being very passionate about his family. He reminds us to be mindful, not mindless.
Through getting to know Nigel, we have learned some of his daily struggles. Some of these issues include PTSD, anxiety, depression, loss of cartilage, and noise sensitivity. By communicating with Nigel and other people with similar challenges, we discovered that one of the major struggles is noise sensitivity. For some, loud noises can cause irritation and anxiety. Over 20% of our population deals with noise sensitivity. That's 1 out of every 5 individuals.
So our question is, how can we help those people with noise sensitivity work and focus better on a day-to-day basis?
Our solution is Soundhaven, a 3-piece device that has an app, an earpiece, and a wristband. The app sends signals to the wristband, wristband, and the wristband sends signals to the earpiece, and they work as a team to cancel out the loud noises.
There are a few similar products, but none of them have the full package. There's the Fitbit, which has a heart rate monitor, but does not have the noise blocking or stress relief features. Then there's noise canceling headphones. A good example is the Apple AirPods Pros. They have the noise blocking feature, but do not have the heart rate monitor or stress relief features. With Soundhaven, you get the full package. Not only that, Soundhaven has many more features to help relieve stress and calm the user. Through the app, you can manually turn on and off the noise cancellation, as well as tracking or check heart rate and decibel history. We use the Thunkable to program and create our app. And here's a short video displaying how it works.
So in the app on the top, you can see that there's a little circle there, and you can move it and adjust to input how you're feeling that day, and it will give you a quote. And then it has the heart rate, so you can see if your heart rate is increasing or decreasing, and if you need to just calm down and breathe. And if you do need to breathe, then you can follow the little circle animation and breathe with it and just calm down. And then in the bottom right corner, you can manually turn on and off the noise cancellation. So the wristband includes light haptics, where the wrist piece shows calming cues such as light blues to help calm the user. Touch haptics include a subtle vibration or a pulse-like feel to ease the anxiety. You can also toggle manual control on the wristband for noise cancellation. Colton will now show it in action.
This is our prototype for Project Event. It's essentially a watch band that will sit on your wrist. Everything's taken out of the watch that we can expand it. It has a vibrating motor, a heart rate monitor, and also a color changing LED to inform the user, depending on their heart rate, to calm them down and other situations that communicate with the app.
So here's the earpiece. When sound gets above a certain decibel, it fades out noise to a muffled sound. We are currently investigating the functionality of hearing aids versus other existing earpieces.
So before Soundhaven, when you were in a loud environment, your heartbeat would start to increase and you'd have to find a way to calm yourself down. The perfect example of this is a thunderstorm. So here's thunderstorm without Soundhaven. But with Soundhaven, you don't have to worry about those thunderstorms anymore. It'll provide a very safe and calming environment where your heartbeat will stay the same and you'll be able to stay relaxed in this stressful situation. Here's what it would sound like with Soundhaven.
When Nigel came to test Soundhaven, he gave us feedback and said that he preferred the comfort and durability of the upcycled elastic we made of the watch bandwidth, as well as the TPU versus the ABS watch face option.
As we met with our community partner, Nigel, he inspired us by saying we are uniting not just the veterans, but the world. And we are sending a message with our invention, and it should be to inspire.
Our next step is possibly adding calming noises to the earpiece, such as white noise, rain, water noises, or the ability to add your own sound, and also detachable watch pieces, and we'll keep working on the earpiece functionality.
Let's introduce you to a quieter world with Soundhaven. Thank you for your time.
All right, judges.
Thanks for that presentation. That was awesome. I am very curious to learn more about the earpiece. And the earpiece, is it meant to be worn all day, or do you imagine there's a scenario that's stressful and then you pop in the earpiece? What was the idea? What was the thinking behind that?
Okay, so our idea was to have it sort of like hearing aids, where it's not very like visible, but it's still something you wear all day, because you can never really figure out when there's going to be a stressful situation or what can cause you that anxiety. So it's, if you have something like a hearing aid that's not super noticeable, but still there to protect the user at any time of day.
And then can I ask a question around the wrist piece? Is it providing like electrical stimulation feedback, or is it just collecting data for the input for the heart rate?
So it has here, I have the prototype right here. It has the heart rate monitor and then a little vibrator. So you will feel like a vibration on your wrist, but it's sending everything to the app. So you can view all of the data and it's collecting at the same time. So you can view all the data and the history from the app.
Can you just talk about just a little bit about the vibration? It's the vibration is for calming, or is it?
Yeah. So it gives multiple vibrations. So it'll give like kind of more vibration if your heart rate is starting to increase, just to so you're aware of it. But then also if it calms the user, it will vibrate very like subtly, just a little softer, just to kind of comfort the user.
Just really interesting project. So congratulations for that. I wondered, are you incorporating the concept of biofeedback in your invention, which is basically sort of a feedback mechanism where you actually monitor as you're developing it? The biofeedback is monitoring stress and seeing if the stimulation can help bring it down. And go ahead.
Yeah, so it'll like collect the information and you can view it later to kind of see like when you got stressed, or and you can kind of pinpoint, you can say, oh, well, it says that I had to turn on the noise cancellation at this time and I just so happen to be in Walmart or at a certain place, to say, oh, I get more stressed in this situation than this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it did. It did.
Hey, I'm curious about your app. Did you consider, what other ideas did you consider there? I'm really intrigued about the type of support that's available there. I saw the quotes. Is there any plans around kind of like a support or community aspect for other folks to connect there?
We've thought about adding like speed dials, like if you need the suicide hotline or like the hotlines like that, just to help the user. As of right now, we've kind of focused more on just the data and only the user being able to like access it and everything. But I think it would also be really great to add like contacts, maybe like a parent or a sibling that can help you if you are struggling. So you can text them and it'll send a pre-prepared message to them.
One other question, if there's time, and that is, how much did you explore the idea of compatibility with other things that the user might have in their ears, such as a iPod or iPod or like music?
Yeah, we actually looked at that a lot to see like what both the wristband and the app could, I guess, partner with. As far as like Android and Apple and all the different kinds of earbuds. And it got kind of hard to figure out what would work. So for our prototype, we just got some hearing aids and we were just trying to figure that out. Yeah. But in the future, we would definitely like to make it compatible with multiple brands of earbuds.
All right, thank you very much. Great work. I think it's time to move on to our next pitch. All right, our fourth pitch today is Fusion Read from Project Readify with the Denver Gold Crown Foundation. Fusion Read aims to bridge the education gap by providing a unique technology solution to remote learning therapy for students with learning disabilities.
Hi, we're Project Readify. I'm Marcus. I'm one of the software engineers for our Project Invent product. Presenting with me today is Robert and Elijah. Some of our other team members include Kaya, James, Angel, and Tiffany. So we worked really hard together with Children's Hospital Colorado, more specifically their learning services team, to help kids with dyslexia and other sort of learning disabilities to get kind of more comfortable with telehealth and get that focus better. So one of our testimonials is from Jennifer Hunter. She's a learning specialist at Children's Hospital. She said that it's hard on the computer to get patients to engage, to get the practice and focus. She also said that it is not fun to show somebody what you're not good at. So essentially helping these people get at ease with this. So I'm going to pass it off to Elijah, who's going to present our product.
This is one of our first designs for our product. It's a camera mounted that looks like a rocket ship, so the teacher can see the student as well as their work, and a base they can interact with using an LCD screen. The Raspberry Pi, a mini computer inside of our system, creates a web app so that the teacher can log in with any search engine and control everything it does, including the LCD screen, so that the student can interact properly with it. A camera also feeds into it, and of course a power source, and the teacher can also speak out of it with the speaker. Next is our demo video.
As in the first sound in octopus.
At each stage of our project, we receive valuable feedback that help further our product. For example, we'd receive feedback from our specialists after our initial design, and they voiced that they would like to see both a speaker and a touch screen added to the device. This was a pivot moment for us as we took our feedback and decided to incorporate an LCD screen into our design, making it more interactive for the student. Competitor matrix. For our project, we decided to compare with other similar products on their accessibility, interactivity, and their educational use. In terms of accessibility, our product will be very accessible due to the technology it includes, like the addition of screen read technology. Other assistive aids like the Smart Pen and educational software have built-in screen read technologies in their design, so they are more accessible. In terms of interactivity, we feel our product has a good level of interactivity and engagement for kids of all ages, as we have a physical product and a built-in screen that therapists can display images on. We believe that our product outperforms learning toys like leapfrogs that sound out letters, mainly because those are low-tech, and sounding out letters is the only function phonic toys do. Our product actually plays videos of phonics, and we can expand to a larger range of lessons with the web server we've developed. In terms of educational use, our product is efficient at delivering remote lessons in conjunction with a learning therapist. The therapist will be able to easily control our website that will be displayed on the product. The therapist will control the images and videos the patient sees on the LCD screen. Our product has many more uses than a product like the Smart Pen, where its only use is for recording audio and taking notes. It doesn't have any sort of educational curriculum or lessons in the product itself. Next steps. As for our next steps, we are looking to create a smartphone application as an extension to our web server. We are also looking into getting this product into the hands of learning services so that they can test it with real patients and give us feedback based on what they find while using the product. We also want to work with the learning services team to create lessons to be played on our device. Using feedback from our community partner, we also see a need to set up our product so that it can connect multiple students to one therapist, because currently our product can only connect a therapist with a single patient. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, we'd be very happy to answer them, and have a wonderful day.
So in the video, it says if anyone has any questions, then we'll be happy to answer them.
Awesome job, guys. I really love the application and the ability to connect the therapist and the student. One of the questions that I had is some of the competitor products, I guess, can be used in what you might call solo mode, right, for independent learning and so on. Have you thought about maybe adding a mode where it can be used in a standalone way, or is it always that you have to have a therapist there in order to really use your application and the solution?
You want to answer that one, Chris?
Yeah, sure. So we were currently thinking of that. I think a main problem, or not a problem, it's that I think our community partners also said that like this could potentially even work without like Wi-Fi, which is a big problem in remote learning, that a lot of like low-income students can't really use remote telehealth because they don't have Wi-Fi or computer. So we're really thinking of doing that. I think with the phonetics and the videos, we could potentially like have independent learning, or we want to work with therapists to make sure that they can have like independent learning, or they can assign homework sort of
to their students, and it's mainly paper currently, I think, for their independent learning, sort of like kind of like, I think it's like spelling out letters. We're working on trying to like making our product have touchscreen so the kids can actually like interact with the touchscreen itself. So we want to have that in our next steps as well to make sure that it can be independent learning outside of remote therapy.
Great.
Hey team, congrats on that prezzo. I really love the idea of amplifying an educator's curriculum with this device. I think the possibilities are great. With the touch screen and the kind of feedback you're getting, is there any plan to, what else can you do with that data? Is that data given to the educator in a way to kind of fine tune curriculum, or what is the plan for kind of receiving the feedback that is captured by this device?
Want to answer that one, Robert?
Yeah, sure. So we are planning on giving that data to the therapist so that they can understand if the kid is struggling in certain parts, so that they can fine tune their lessons to help the kid on whatever they are currently struggling with.
Great job. I love the current nature of your product, meaning that remote learning and remote therapy or teletherapy is really kind of the future. What I wondered is, as you were developing this, did you get assistance from children at all in terms of their perspective on this?
So yeah, actually, our learning specialist, Jennifer, she actually did like a mock remote telehealth session with her kid because we couldn't really work with patients because I think of confidentiality and we're not in the Children's Hospital Colorado system.
Sure.
So she did like, she basically showed us with her own kid, like how she conducts remote telehealth lessons. It was really cute. I really liked it a lot because she kind of like showed like how she used like flashcards to sort of like demonstrate sort of like words and phonetics and like how to sound out the words. And it really helped us and guided us to how we would like build the lessons. Sorry, my cat. How we would build the lessons essentially, and also like why we put in the GIFs and the videos of the sounding out the letters. So yeah.
And what feedback did you get from the child?
Sorry. Nikki, come on. All right. Mainly, we kind of got the feedback that we would have to like make sure that a young kid could be able to pay attention to our design. Originally, we didn't have an LCD screen, so we kind of saw that like kids might not be able to pay attention well. So we kind of decided that, you know, instead of just having just like a camera with buttons, that it would be more interactable with the LCD screen. Because originally the LCD screen was not in our design.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Great work. And it's time to move on to our fifth pitch of the day. All right. Our fifth pitch is Racket Ralph from Team Stratford Academy. Ralph helps prevent forklifts from damaging products by accurately guiding them into pallets.
Hello everyone, we are Project Racket Ralph with Stratford Academy, and these are the members of our group. Over the past 2 years, COVID has impacted almost every business across the world. Inventories are at an all-time low and prices are at an all-time high. As a result, companies cannot afford to damage products as it will decrease production and business overall. We decided to attack this problem that we discovered was the source, which are lift trucks, otherwise known as forklifts. Our community partner is Tony Dunn. Mr. Dunn is the logistics manager at Irving Tissue and has been for over 20 years. He works with lift trucks on a day-to-day basis and experiences a variety of different issues that impact production. Irving makes facial and bathroom tissue as well as other paper products, which makes it so difficult to treat because their product we're working with is so fragile it can be damaged extremely easily. We've met with Mr. Dunn on several occasions, however our first meeting with him was over Zoom. He gave us a list of problems they experienced at Irving and we gave him a list of solutions. One problem he gave us was that forklifts have a large blind spot in front of them because the forks are ahead of them, so when making a sharp turn you can't see who's in front of you or if there's any oncoming traffic. We came up with a solution to this problem, which would have been a camera that would have been on the base of the forks that would have allowed the operator to see in the blind spot. However, we did not decide to go with this product due to the fact that the camera would have been destroyed very easily because of how fragile it is. The second problem was that lift truck operators were leaving their forks on the ground and driving away with them, scraping the ground and damaging the forklifts. This is a big issue because you're slowing down production due to the fact that a part of the plant cannot be driven on, and you have a forklift out of commission. Our solution would have been a device that immobilized the forklift and prevented it from moving while the forks were lowered all the way to the ground. We decided to avoid this product due to the fact that we did not have enough time for it. And then the final problem was that lift truck operators were having a difficult time navigating their forks into pallets in tight condensed areas, and sometimes they were missing the pallet entirely and stabbing the product with the forks. That's when we came up with Ralph. Ralph stands for Rack Aiding Lift Truck Pallet Helper, and as you can see in the image provided here, this is the various prototypes that we've made over the past few months. We started off with small box prototypes made of cardboard and then slowly progressed to 3D printing. We tried a few different models, but they didn't work. Then finally we were able to print the final model of Ralph, seen in the far right. Ralph is an ultrasonic sensor that is connected to 2 LED lights. The green one is constantly flashing, and the red one only comes on when an object is sensed 100 centimeters away. Ralph sits at the base of the forklift and senses distance between the pallets and the forks. This gives this forklift operator a sense of mind where the forks and the pallets are at all times. We brought Ralph to Irving, and Mr. Dunn and his employees actually got to see him and use him in action. As you can see from the quotes provided below, they loved him. We also brought Ralph to Butler Automotive Group to see if he would work in many different environments, and he did. The market for lift trucks is very complicated because there are similar products to it, however, they have some flaws. Pepper Allen Fuchs have designed a similar device, however, it has exposed wiring and it can be broken and damaged extremely easily, unlike Ralph, who has a solid, hardened plastic case that encases all the wiring and has no exposed wiring. Ladder Tech also has many sensors, however, they're very expensive compared to Ralph, who will be very cost efficient.
So the way Ralph works is he can sense anything up to 100 centimeters away. So whenever he senses something, the light turns red. But if he's not sensing anything, the light stays green.
Here we can see Ralph on the forklift. In the picture provided, the light is currently red because it senses the objects on the forks of the forklift. The way Ralph is placed is so that it sees what's in front of it and gives us the correct result.
The future impact of this product will be huge. Everyone buys things, whether that be from Amazon or the grocery store, all of your items come from someplace. With a product like Ralph, we can speed up the flow of inventory and production. Maybe even in the long run, prices will begin to go down and things will start to go back to normal. For the future, we hope to use a LiDAR sensor instead of an ultrasonic sensor. They both sense distance, however the LiDAR sensor senses it more rapidly and more accurately compared to the ultrasonic sensor. We'd also like to get rid of the wiring system and hook Ralph up to a small little screen that goes in the operating chamber of the lift truck. This will display the exact distance away the pallets are from the forks, giving the forklift operator more of a sense of mind on where everything is. We would also like to use quick wires, as you can see in the image provided below, instead of multiple different wires. This will overall decrease the amount of wires that we have in Ralph and decrease the size of Ralph by over 50%. This will allow us to place Ralph on various different spots on the forklift and not worry about anything getting in the way. Thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate your feedback.
Excellent work. I love the naming, of course, because you need to have, when the green red light is on, is have it say, "I'm gonna wreck it," right?
yeah, that'd be a great idea.
So, I like the way you guys thought about different kinds of solutions for this. What was I going to say? How did you actually build the plastic molding? It sounds like you 3D molded the different options.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Amin talk about that actually.
So obviously we did start off with the cardboard prototype, and then we did use a Prusa printer to 3D print it. We used PETG filaments, and we used that because it's cheap and it's also quite durable. So like this is the back of it, and then here's the thing. So yeah, it's sturdy. It does the job. It keeps the mechanics of Ralph inside and without
protects
it basically.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey team, thank you for that presentation. That was awesome. How is Ralph mounted onto the forklift?
So we're still trying to work on that right now. At the moment, he just kind of sits on the base. We spoke with Mr. Dunn and he gave us the actual specs of all the lift trucks and they use in the plant. And so right now he actually just kind of sits on the base of it. But hopefully in the future, like I said, we're going to decrease the size of it by over 50%. So that'll give us a lot of different options on where to put it. And basically we'll just kind of screw him in. Yeah. I think you're on mute. Sorry.
On mute as usual. Exciting product, and I love again. I love the the recency of it to our current day problems that aren't really going to go away in terms of product damage. So were you able to actually do some repeat testing on? I mean, I saw that you had kind of the molds for distance and sensing, but were you able to actually do it like with some pallets and?
Yeah, so basically we brought him to Irving and they have this sort of rule that you can't take pictures in there due to company reasons because they're a larger company, but we actually got to test it out and actually work with some stuff. We also brought it to Butler Automotive Group, which is a local body shop that they have in town, and we got to take some pictures there, and in the pictures in the presentation, that's where we were. And that was actually a Prius battery on the forks. So we actually got to get to use it and it worked really well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
A question about the lights and the kind of red and green. Is there a reason why the green light is on forever versus just having a red one blink on when necessary?
I'll let him answer that.
So obviously the green one stays on when there's something 100, like something farther than 100 centimeters away. So yeah, that shows it's good. The red, yeah, if it's less than 100 centimeters, it goes red. It shows. Why we have both lights is so that they can see the green light to know that they're in the clear.
Yeah, green means good basically.
Yeah,
so green means if it's on green, you're all good.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. Always good to have some affordance. Things are on.
So interesting. I love the cueing of the green and red. How easy is it for the driver to see the lights?
At the moment, we're still kind of working on that. So obviously with what we're doing now, we're trying to actually change the actual product. So we're trying to get rid of the actual red and green and make it an actual little screen that displays the actual distance. But for the future, I guess if we were to stick with that, we'd actually have to see, as you can see here, we'd actually have to extend the wires by a lot. And then that would kind of like flow into the actual operating area of the lift truck, so the lift truck operator could see. But just for the prototype now, it does the job.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
So much.
All right. We will move on now to our sixth pitch. And our sixth pitch today is Silent Siren from Team Spark B with the Changemakers program. Silent Siren is a device that alerts civilians about an approaching firefighting vehicle.
Hi everyone, my name is Nidhi Krishnakumar.
And I'm Jen San Lee.
We are Spark Team B presenting to you Silent Siren.
60 seconds. To us, it may seem to go in a blink of an eye, but to firefighters, it only takes 60 seconds to determine a life or death situation. And for every second that passes, it means more time for the fire to spread.
Our community partner was Sean Martin, a battalion chief who has been serving as a firefighter for 26 years, located in Ozark, Missouri. A day in the life of Sean Martin usually sticks to routine, from checking equipment to writing reports to doing some research, until they get an emergency call where firefighters have to drop everything and respond immediately.
And during our first meeting, Sean mentioned that road traffic was costing the firefighters precious time, which in turn cost lives, which left us wondering, how can we tell civilians that fire trucks are coming their way and hopefully encourage them to make way? How could we notify civilians prior to the vehicles arriving, preventing civilians extra stress and a situation where a truck was approaching, but civilians have no time to respond?
Our solution was Silent Siren. Silent Siren is a device that can alert drivers ahead of time that firefighters are approaching so that they can prepare to clear the road, not only reducing stress for the civilians, but also reducing the traffic and roadblock for the firefighters.
Our very first prototype was built on the Arduino. We used Bluetooth technology to signal the lights to turn on. And our first designs took heavy inspiration from school speed limit signs to build the prototype.
After our first prototype, we talked with Sean one more time to get feedback. He brought up the problem that was the source of one of our main features of Silent Siren, the boy who cried wolf. Sean mentioned that there could be times where trucks take a different route due to unexpected factors in the road, and this could create a situation where civilians are waiting for a fire truck that never comes. Our solution was to create two different light patterns, a slow blinking to indicate a predicted route, and a fast blinking to indicate a vehicle approaching within a short distance.
But not only did we receive amazing feedback from Sean, we also received them from our mentors and our acquaintances. And from the feedback, we realized that to maximize the Silent Siren's effectiveness, we had to make it simple as well, straight to the point, and integrate it into our daily lives as seamlessly as possible.
Version 2 of Silent Siren builds on the earlier prototype to reduce pull from stakeholders, redesigning the look and location of our earlier prototype. Version 2 of Silent Siren has a similar electrical structure, but it will be re-implemented onto traffic lights. The routes that the lights are flashing on will be taken from the firefighter's current GPS technology route mapping, communicating with the truck itself so that it can update as the truck changes direction. Design-wise, Silent Siren will have two options: a light affixed to the end of regular traffic lights, or a sign with a flashing light indicating that firefighters are approaching. We started the development of Silent Siren in November, when we first connected with Sean, learned about his job, and identified an aspect of his life that we could improve upon. In December, we began the brainstorming and ideation of Silent Siren, noting our design requirements and possible ways that we could fulfill them. We then finalized and began building our first prototype in January.
And then in February, we had our second meeting with Sean and was able to demonstrate our first prototype to him. Taking his feedback and the countless others that we received from our mentors, teachers, drivers, and civilians in the beginning of March, we spent the second half of March fine-tuning and thinking of different alternatives.
The two primary competitors for Silent Siren are traffic signal preemption and GPS technology route mapping. Traffic signal preemption is the main way that firefighters clear traffic. From a certain range, they can change traffic signals to green, in theory, allowing time for civilians to get out of the way. However, this is a very short-range device, and it can easily fail due to unknown factors in the roads and traffic, and it doesn't notify a civilian that a first responder is approaching. Next is GPS technology route mapping, which maps the most effective route for fire trucks. However, this only takes into consideration the fire trucks and the firefighters. And like traffic signal preemption, it doesn't notify civilians and it can be prone to previously unseen factors. As I mentioned previously, our device utilizes route mapping technology to plan the route Silent Siren will finish and also help manage some of the problems that GPS technology route mapping has.
One of the aspects of the Silent Siren that both of us ended up loving was its ability to expand to other first responders in the future and its industries in hopes of helping more people. And also, throughout the whole process, we kept in mind that modification may occur later on, depending on the state and local laws, as well as the location of the product. For example, urban areas such as New York City versus more rural areas of the state.
Are you ready to move forward with us and save some lives? Thank you.
What an awesome presentation. Thank you so much. I'm really intrigued by the problem you're trying to solve and kind of the scale of it. And I'm really impressed that you touched on local laws and all those kind of logistical things. I'm curious around your ideation around the visual cue and the color blue specifically. I think it's great that this increases the accessibility by providing a visual cue, but talk to me about the process of landing on that kind of specific one.
So we first, on our first prototype, we did yellow, but then later on we decided to choose blue because we thought the yellow was a bit too much like other signs already there, such as like school speed limit signs or like the red, yellow, green. So we also decided on blue since it's a bit more calming color as well. So we thought it would be a better alternative than yellow.
Just on that topic, a great product, important, and I can really relate to that anxiety of hearing a siren, not knowing where it's coming from, thinking, oh my God, what do I do? Okay, pull over, but where is it? You know, and then anyway, so how much were you able to talk to drivers themselves about what signals they would respond to and any problems they might have with whatever you were considering?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we've talked to some people, like for example, our team mentor, we talked to our parents. Neither of us actually drive. So we did have to talk to people who actually do to figure out that sort of part of it. That's part of the reason why we focused it on it being in traffic lights, because then that's something that we know that the drivers are always looking towards. They don't have to look somewhere else to know if this is approaching.
Nice.
So I think those are our biggest thing, because then to reduce that sort of panic, like you mentioned yourself. Yeah.
Nice.
Excellent presentation, students. I did have a question though, I am a driver, and if I'm at a red light and I see a blue light flashing, what should I do?
Liddy, would you like to take that question?
Sure. So I think this is, if the flashing blue light, since it has different speeds, I think that the driver then has that option. If it's a slow flash, they know, okay, so it's approaching, but I still have some time to move out of the way. There's no need to panic right now. It can turn green and I can just go on about my day. If there's a quicker flash, then at that point in time, you should be sort of responding how you would if you hear a siren, like move out of the way if you can. If not, there's not much to do. Hopefully this can be combined with other methods. So as we mentioned, traffic signal preemption, then maybe the firefighters can turn the lights green at that point in time, so there's less worry for the drivers.
And also Nidhi and I were talking about how this product also is more like a recommendation for the drivers, not necessarily like you have to move to the side.
Yeah. Did you look at or think about any in-car notification type solutions or integration with GPS systems?
We did. It was in the very beginning of the year, we were talking about how maybe we should do it in like a product that people could purchase. But then we we talked to Sean, and he mentioned that it might be tricky on getting that all distributed and not everyone will use it. And there might be a possibility that it might just be thrown away. So we decided that it will be better as on a traffic light.
Great feedback. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And with that, we have wrapped up our pitches for today. Now, congratulations to all of our brilliant student teams and amazing support networks of teachers, mentors, and family. Now, our panelists will now head off to another room where they'll have time to deliberate and decide on our 3 awards. And the rest of us are now in for an incredible treat with our keynote speaker, followed by some highlights of this year from each of our teams. Our keynote today is Olga Pagoda. Olga has built a career around her passion for the maker community and entrepreneurship. As principal and co-founder of Kernels, a boutique consulting firm, Olga works with tech startups to help them scale by developing strategies for their inventions. Please welcome Olga. The floor is yours.
Hello, thank you so much for inviting me to speak here. It is absolutely my pleasure. I'm just deeply impressed by everything you guys are doing, and I can tell you right now that I was definitely not thinking about these things when I was your age, so congratulations to everyone. So my pathway in my career has definitely been different. It is certainly an untraditional pathway, and I've spent many years, including very recently, asking myself what it is that I want to do when I grow up. And I keep changing my mind, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay to, work in a project or work for a company and build something and then go do something else, or change your mind and decide that that's not what you want to do. I like the idea of learning new things, kind of picking up and moving in a different direction if that's what suits you at the time. I think it's very similar to prototyping in that way, making life decisions and, based on what makes sense and what you've learned through a previous strategy. So with that in mind, I'd like to share a little bit about how I got here in the first place. So I grew up in a very, very strict communist country that was run by a dictator. And we had to do exactly as we were told. You never questioned anything. You never questioned any laws or anything that was going on around you. And if you did, or if you were to step out of line, it's very likely that you and your family would be in some pretty big trouble. But fortunately, my mom didn't really care for rules, didn't like them. So at night, very quietly, we would kind of sit in a circle, and my brother and I, we would listen to American music, and we would discuss politics and, new ideas and things that were going on around us. But we had to do it, in this very quiet manner, because you could be reported and arrested. So when we moved to the States as political refugees, I think I was just so absolutely stunned at the amount of freedom that everyone had, at the unlimited resources and access all kids had. And the idea of even like a library where you could just go and like take something and people would just believe you that you'd bring it back. That was pretty mind-blowing to me. We discovered a lot of things like grocery stores, like supermarkets. I think my favorite discovery was certainly pizza. Like the idea that you could like buy it or someone would just bring it to you. That was like crazy. So it was definitely a new world that we were living in, but I think a lot of the kind of strict policies, they stuck with me for so long. And I carried this fear for a really, really long time into my adult life, especially this fear of asking questions. I always thought that I would get in trouble, or that I would look stupid, or that I would, kind of reflect badly upon my family if for some reason I asked a question and it wasn't, what was expected of me. And, where I grew up, I know here we have a saying that curiosity killed the cat, but where I grew up, it was very much like, no, curiosity really did kill the cat. So stop asking questions. Luckily, when I was in my undergrad, I was studying history and archaeology, and I had a chance to take a trip to Greece and study abroad. I was blown away, and I really wanted to do more of that. And so to do that, I had to ask questions, and I had to look for more opportunities. The following semester, I got into this job placement program at the University of Athens, where I started working in Greece, and then I moved down south into Morocco, Libya, and Egypt. So I moved through Northern Africa into the Middle East, going into living between Jordan and Israel, outside of the West Bank. And I lived in a tent in the desert with a camel for almost a year, and it was awesome. And it was there that I was reading Wired magazine, like a physical magazine at the time. And I learned about 3D scanning and 3D printing. And I've literally never heard of these things before. But I was totally obsessed. And at the time, this is like, over 15 years ago, 3D printers were like huge. They were the size of like a conference room table. And what they were predominantly used by architects. And what they would do is they would actually like layer sand to build a 3D model. And I was surrounded by sand, and I was like, why couldn't we, 3D scan these artifacts that we're finding in archaeological digs and build out, 3D print the pieces that are missing to give people this better view into how people lived thousands of years ago. But this wasn't something that was being worked on back then. And I didn't want to ask too many questions. I was very scared, but I decided if this is something that I really wanted to pursue, I was going to have to take a chance. So I talked to a bunch of different professors, and I even asked my brother, who was working for like a biotechnology startup at the time. So we basically took a tour of a bunch of different offices and looked at different kinds of 3D printers and talked about different processes and what the capabilities really were. But, these printers were like so expensive. I wasn't even allowed to touch them. So I couldn't really play around with it too much. And I was told that if I did want to do that, that I was going to have to become either an architect or an engineer. So I wrote like a physical letter, like a real letter that you take to the post office, because I didn't know what else to do, to the author of the Wired magazine article that I was reading about 3D printers. And he wrote me back with his email and his phone number, telling me, that if I wanted to chat, that was fine. So I did. I wrote him a bunch. I emailed him, and he gave me different opportunities to explore 3D printing, talked to me about creating different prototypes. And when the time came, it turned out that he himself was a graduate of Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, which is where my brother happened to live. And he encouraged me to apply there to look into an architecture engineering program. So he wrote me this incredible recommendation, which is how I was able to get into a school in a program that I basically had absolutely no business being in. But I learned through that process that my curiosity, it wasn't something that I was going to get in trouble for. Asking questions didn't actually make me stupid. And what it actually did is build this community around me of people that were also just as curious. And more importantly, the people that ask questions are often supportive of each other and your endeavors of, ideas and of building things. And then I also learned that, the saying, curiosity killed the cat, is not actually the full saying. The full saying actually goes, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. So because of one letter, because of one ask, because of one question that I dared to make, I was afforded the opportunity to go to an amazing school where I got to study robotics, and then I went on to study business. Since my graduation, my career has also been untraditional. I went from working to this global corporate bank to a string of family-owned businesses because I really wanted to see the impact that my work was making, which I didn't feel like could be measurable in a large corporation. But I landed in this really incredible organization that at the time was based out of the Bay Area, and they owned the largest chain of makerspaces in the world at the time. And I think that's really where I learned about resilience. That's where I learned my self-worth. We can go to the next slide, by the way. I think that it was the most interesting environment that I've ever worked in. It was this kind of like a daily gift of being given the most incredible career opportunities that you wouldn't get anywhere else, followed by being told that like everything you did was wrong, and this feeling of like you're definitely not as smart as you thought you were. And when I tried asking more questions and understanding better, it was like the more I asked, the more I was kind of shut down and turned away. But thankfully, I had a number of really incredible bosses and mentors that always, you know, just told me to keep my head down and keep working, and just get things done. And, you know, my advice for you here is like not to shut up and bury yourself. That's not what I'm saying here. My thought was that, you know, sometimes things are not going to be done the way that you expect, and it's not the way that you would do it yourself. But you could also get a lot of things done if you just listen, and if you're tenacious, if you're resilient, you can get just as far. And one day, maybe you get to run a company where you get to say how things are done and then do things your way. But one of my favorite stories from that company is I was given the opportunity to work in a project for the Department of Defense, building out these mobile makerspaces. So they were on the back of these trailers. And, you know, to be very honest with you, nobody on the team, like we had no idea what we were doing. And we were just troubleshooting and hoping to get it right. We went through a number of design prototypes and then just started building after some light approval. And by the time we were done, it was months later, and I was pregnant with my second baby. And our job at the end was to present this completed mobile makerspace to the to a number of really high-level people at a maker fair in Washington, D.C. And then we were supposed to take it over to the Pentagon for a presentation that was supposed to be led by our CEO. However, like literally within 3 hours of that presentation, my CEO told me that he was not coming and that he was literally on the other side of the country in California. So he was not going to be able to make it. So just imagine, you know, this is in the middle of summer, so it's really hot because it's DC, and we have this giant trailer that I am trying to get into the freaking Pentagon. And I'm terrified because I've never done anything like this before. Like, these are just very important people that are not, you know, people that I are within my circle, you know? And when we arrived at the gates of the Pentagon, I realized that the trailer wouldn't fit because we affixed an AC unit at the top of it. So in like 90-degree heat, I had to go up there and unscrew the AC, get it through the gate, put the AC back on, all while pregnant. And so by the time we walked through the gates and went through security at the Pentagon, I was so nervous and I was so hot and dehydrated. And this 4-star general came out to greet us, and he went to shake my hand, and I went to try to greet him. And when I opened my mouth to say hello, I just threw up all over his pants and his shoes. It was awful. And I think I was just hoping that like the earth would open up and swallow me. And I don't think I've ever been that embarrassed in my whole life. I had no idea what to do, but you know, there was nothing else I could do, right? You just have to move on. I apologized profusely. I explained myself, and then you just move on. You just do your job. You know, I washed my face, I drank some water, and then kept on with the presentation that I was supposed to do without my CEO. And I worked so hard on this project. I think I nailed that presentation, in my opinion. And unfortunately, after going through all of that, the feedback I got from one of the partners on one of our teams is that he was surprised about how much I knew based on the way I look. So as disappointing as that experience was, I learned that people will do things and they will handle things differently everywhere. It's not just my company. Things are done differently in every area of the world. So if I wanted to get better and if I just wanted to get things done, I just have to keep on trucking, right? Like you just keep your head down, you continue with the presentation, you keep on doing your thing, you just observe and listen and just be resilient when you happen to throw up. So sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll help you. You're good.
So finally, I would just like to address ambition. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. So by the way, my last picture was taken at the Maker Fair right before I threw up. So there you go. Yes, I'd like to address ambition. So I think I often thought that ambition was like a negative term, that it was bad. I imagined, you know, like jerks working in an office and like pushing everyone around and not letting people get promotions. Like that was like ambition to me, is that you were like getting somewhere at the cost of like stepping all over everybody. But in the last 4 years, I would say, I figured out that I can be ambitious, but I can do it in a very quiet and humble way. So the last company I worked for, it folded. And then once again, I had to ask myself, you know, what it is that I wanted to do when I grow up. But I couldn't find anything on the job market that really fit my skill level or really my lifestyle too. So I went to my mentor and I asked him if he would quit his job and start a company with me. And the craziest thing is that he did. And so for the last almost 4.5 years, my company is we've contracted with startups all over the world. We've done projects with the Department of Defense, with NASA, with DARPA. We have been given incredible opportunities to travel across this country and really across the world and to see some amazing places. Like that picture right there is, we got to go on a seaplane in the US Virgin Islands, which was just amazing. But the coolest thing is that in October of last year, I was given the opportunity to sell my company, to exit it. And never in my just wildest dreams did I ever think that that could possibly even happen. It's not what I set out to do, and it's not what I thought was possible. But I'm happy to announce that I've finally sold my company. It was acquired by a consulting firm in Indianapolis. And while I'm still wrapping up all of the documentation and projects, I've been given the position to, given the opportunity to go work at other companies. And to me, I think this is the most ambitious move I've ever made. It's the most ambitious thing I've ever done. The idea of starting my own company and selling it, to me, is very much ambitious. It's not anything that I ever thought I would do. But in this process, I have stayed very, very true to myself and my belief in doing things quietly and in a humble way. I've realized that my ambition can be a driving force and it can be inspiring, but I can do it in a way that doesn't hurt anyone around me. So to wrap up my incredibly long speech here, I want to say that I'm very grateful to have been a part of this event and to get a chance to watch some of these presentations. Like I said, when I was in high school, I was certainly not thinking in this way. Giving you any advice at this point seems a bit presumptuous. But something that I would like to share, and something that maybe you can, take home and think about, is that all of you are just so far ahead of the curve, so far ahead of everyone else out there. And in your life, in your career, in whatever project that you may be working on, you will have ups and downs. You may fall, you may succeed, you may end up throwing up in a boss, who knows? But if you stay curious and if you keep your head down and you stay ambitious and resilient, I really have absolute faith that everyone here will find their way. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for listening, and good luck.
Thank you so much, Olga. What a wonderful talk and opportunity to learn and challenge ourselves. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our student teams to share about their journey with Project Invent this year. We'll spend the next 10 minutes or so learning about our students' experiences. The two questions that I will ask are, what was a significant challenge that you experienced while designing your product? And what helped you remain resilient, or what motivated you when you experienced challenges? This is just meant to be brief and an informal reflection, and each team will have a minute to answer these two questions. So let's hear from Team Spark A. We'd love to learn more about your year with Project Invent. So again, what was a significant challenge you experienced while designing your product, and what helped you remain resilient when you face challenges?
One thing that's very important is teamwork, being able to work with the team. And it was especially hard during this year because we were all remote, and it's actually quite hard to communicate effectively. But eventually we were, because we remained resilient, we were able to come up with the product and get the video ready and successfully get the product into existence. So I think communicating well with each other is very important, especially if you're creating something new and inventing like we do at Project Invent. And so it gave us a really good experience with that.
All right, thank you very much. Let's hear from the Francis W. Parker School. What challenges did you face, and how did you stay motivated to overcome them?
A challenge we faced was picking an idea. That was really our biggest challenge, was picking our actual product that we wanted to build. And then how we overcame them was probably with our teachers that helped us, because they were super helpful and inspirational for us.
All right, thank you very much. Same questions to Team Anna with the Anna ISD Makerspace. The significant challenge you faced and how you stayed motivated, resilient to overcome that challenge.
A big thing we struggled with is we kind of lost motivation at sort of like, I guess, the middle of our project, and we just we didn't see any progress, and we didn't see where we were going. So we really had to learn to back each other up and just motivate each other and keep each other together, keep everyone on board. So we learned to stay together as a team. And then we got super motivated by our community partner, Nigel, just to see how inspired he was by our product and how much he loved it. It really gave us that extra push to just finish our product.
All right, thank you very much. Let's hear now from Project Redefy with the Denver Gold Crown Foundation. What was a significant challenge that you experienced while designing your product? And what helped you remain resilient, or what motivated you when you experienced challenges?
Sorry, I can answer.
product?
Essentially, I mean, something that we really struggled with was definitely our coding. I know there was a lot of stuff that didn't really work well, and we had to go through and revise it very frequently. So yeah, I think staying resilient. I think that we definitely found a lot of mentorship, and we found a lot of like support systems for us to kind of help make everything better.
All right. Thank you very much. Now let's hear from Team Stratford Academy. So Team Stratford, what was one or two significant challenges that you experienced, and what kept you going? What kept you motivated to keep going and overcome those obstacles?
Yeah, so one problem that we really had was we didn't really hear from our community partner for a few months. He's experiencing the exact issue we were trying to solve, and his team really wasn't performing that well. So it was really hard to communicate with him and get some information and insight from him. Also, we had a tough time actually getting the measurements right for the case for Ralph, and we had to redesign it quite a few times.
And we were motivated by like the deadlines and getting our product done by the deadlines, and we all enjoyed the challenge of the project. And so we're excited about like what's to come with Ralph and introducing them into the market to solve supply chain issues.
Okay. And finally, let's hear from Team Spark B. Same questions to you. What significant challenges did you face, and how did you keep going, stay resilient to overcome those challenges?
Yeah, so a big thing for us was that it's really difficult to work and create a prototype virtually, and we're on opposite sides of the country. So we had to figure out a way to balance our workload between each of us and deal with that time difference. Since I'm in Washington, Jin's on the East Coast. So being able to manage that with our other school activities was a big issue for us.
And I think what really motivated us was just Nidhi in general. She's such an amazing person to work with. And as well as our fellow Ms. Baptist really helped finding a healthy, productive rhythm and not getting burnt out by it.
All right. I think we still have a few minutes, just a few minutes before our judges will be ready to announce the awards. So let me just toss out a question, and don't necessarily need to go through orders, just kind of speak up as you will. What was a highlight of the year throughout this entire process? We've kind of seen the products and how you kind of designed it, went through the process. You talked about some of the challenges, but what was a real highlight, a high point of this entire experience? And like just kind of tossing it out there for anyone who wants to kind of take that on.
I can speak to that. For me personally, I was on my team. I was mainly the one communicating with our community partners through email chains, normally asking Children's Hospital and learning therapists for feedback. And I remember, I think after we finished kind of like our first kind of like cardboard prototype of just kind of like how it would look, I sent them to the learning therapists, and Jennifer actually forwarded to like the entire learning specialist team at Children's Hospital Colorado. It was like 20 of them. And like I remember feedback coming and flooding about how much they liked it and how very appreciative they were about how we took their concerns into mind about like remote telehealth. And to me personally, that felt very like I don't know, it felt like a highlight because it felt very happy that like our design could potentially make a big impact for Children's Hospital Colorado, and it was like helping out the therapists a lot, and that they were being very happy about it. And then also we kind of had like tried to have a little like birthday party during the week the project was due, because we had like I think 3 birthdays, me and Marcus, and then another Gold Crown person who's not on our team but works with us. We tried to have like a little mini birthday party. I think I really liked that. We got really nice cake. I really liked it, and I think that was also a highlight.
All right. Anybody else want to join in, share a highlight of the year, a highlight of the experience?
All right. So yeah, so one of our highlights would have had to been, we got to visit the company we worked with, Irving Tissue, a couple of times, and just actually seeing how it operates. And they have such incredible technology there, and just getting to see how everything works was awesome. And also the fact that watching Ralph progress over the months and actually making something that could be used in the future was just really, really gratifying. And it was super, super fun to watch.
And to see it end up finally with a proper form, it's something that we never thought we'd get to when we began this project and event journey. So yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
All right, it looks like some of the judges are coming on back in, Stephen, so we
All right.
can start transitioning over to awards.
All right, sounds good. So as our panelists come back, have made their decisions, it's time for our awards. So let's first hear a little bit about our 3 awards. Up first, the Need Finder Award, given to a team that really listened to their community partner. The Product Pivot Award, which is presented to a team that had to overcome many obstacles. And last but not least, the Explorer Award, presented to a team that demonstrated a great amount of learning. Now, before we start awards, a quick word to our student teams. What you have done today and in the many months of hard work and innovation leading up to today is incredible. You've built something that few people ever will. You've built something designed to help real people in the real world, and you've done it as a high school student. I mean, that's unreal. That's incredible. You've learned the skills to become the fearless problem solvers of tomorrow. So if you receive an award today, that's obviously very exciting. But if you don't receive an award today, it is so far from the end of your journey. So with that in mind, let's welcome back our panelists. Panelists, I'm going to turn it over to you to present our 3 awards. When you present, please share the type of award and its description, as well as the awarded team's name.
Hey, Mike, you can go ahead and stop screen sharing here. Thanks so much. Perfect.
Just checking participants here. We divvied up our speaking roles, looking for Sheila to see if she can take on the first one.
You know, Olga, it looks like she might not be back yet. I'll follow up with her. Do you guys mind moving to the next award? Oh, you know what? Here she is. She's logging in and getting access to audio. Sheila, hey, you are up for your first award announcement. So you're here just in time. If you want to go ahead and announce the team that your group has selected.
Okay. Do you mind if I go last?
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
Who'd like to step in?
I'll do the Need Finder Award.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure. So teams, thank you so much for presenting and for all your efforts. We're really impressed by so much enthusiasm, great presentations. And in the Need Finder Award, it's really about demonstrating empathy and understanding. And I think this particular team did a wonderful, we felt that this team did a wonderful job. It's Team Anna from Anna High School, Soundhaven. So congratulations to you guys. And in particular, things that stood out to us is the fact that it's a broad exploration of the problem. It's not just single mode. It's about, all the different aspects of making people feel calm. And so that we thought is very clever. It's and it can have application beyond just wounded warriors, right? It can be used for lots of ways. So we thought, congratulations on earning the Need Finder Award.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Congratulations. I have the honor of presenting the Product Pivot Award. So a little bit about the award. The Product Pivot involves a special care and consideration to multiple dimensions of needs and challenges to overcome many obstacles. And so deliberating with the judges, we believe Silent Siren was really impressive in showcasing both the presentation and articulating their consideration for user needs in a multitude of contexts. They even look at local laws and considered usability along the way and even considered regionality. So congratulations on a very impressive presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, and I am presenting the Explorer Award, and great job to everybody. It was really exciting to watch to hear about the process and see the outcomes of your work in these really fascinating projects. We are awarding the Explorer Award to Fire Drone 360. And we're really excited about the Fire Drone 360. We thought your ability to reprioritize the product features as you considered and talked with the firefighter, and it really it required a lot of resilience and tenacity. We thought, and really curiosity to talk with the firefighter, and creative confidence. It was also, we were impressed by the technological solutions that really require direct testing and user feedback. So we were really impressed. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, that concludes our demo day. Congratulations to Team Anna and also the teams behind Silent Siren and Fire Drone 360, Team Spark A and Team Spark B. And also congratulations to all the amazing teams today for the work you've done, the work you've put in, and certainly a huge thank you to all of our panelists, our keynotes, our sponsor, Concrete Rose Capital, our audience and donors, and thank you to everyone who helped these teams along their journey, from teachers to mentors to family. You can continue to donate to Project Invent to enable us to continue this mission of empowering young people to innovate all year round. Have a great weekend.
Thank you all so much for joining. Project Invent just wants to say a huge thank you to our students. You are what we celebrate every day, and this is such a wonderful opportunity to get to celebrate your hard work and year-long journey with learning. Every team did such a phenomenal job, and we can all end with a round of applause. And thank you so much, judges. We so appreciate you guys. We can all unmute and say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye. Thank
Bye. Bye.
Really impressive.
Thank you so much. Bye. Awesome work, everybody. Way to go. Thank you so much for joining us for a great Project Invent demo day. If you want to check out more, we have plenty more up on our website. We have, I believe, 6 more demo days to go of fabulous pitches and lots of great learnings from our students and thoughts and feedback from our judges. So feel free to check them out at projectinvent.org at our demo day webpage. Thanks so much for joining. Bye, everyone.